Across South Asia, a quieter front of violent extremism is opening inside homes and social networks. Extremist groups aren't just recruiting fighters, they're tailoring messages to women, reshaping households and complicating counter-extremism efforts. Chowin's recent analysis points to a Pakistan-based anti-India jihadist group that has deliberately targeted women for radicalization. Their campaign blends online content, local female preachers, welfare provision, marriage offers, and social pressure. In some communities, women are moved from auxiliary roles into organized social service cells that provide aid, while also monitoring families and recruiting others. Reports describe shifts in schools and neighborhood life, discourage secular education for girls, enforced seclusion, altered norms of dress and behavior, and support networks that shield militants. The immediate human cost is borne by women and girls whose autonomy narrows. The wider harm is to civic space and everyday pluralism as households become vectors for political violence. Perpetrators remain male-dominated leaderships that see strategic value in gendered outreach. This is not accidental tokenism. The group trains women to preach its message, uses female influencers on social media, and arranges marriages that bind recruits into militant households. Tactics vary by social context. Some women join from conviction, others through economic need, family pressure, or promises of status and protection. That diversity matters. Lumping all recruited women together risks criminalizing potential survivors and misses pathways to reintegration. Understanding who these women are, wives, mothers, social workers, religious teachers, helps tailor responses that separate coercion from genuine ideological commitment. Standing ideologically, the project fuses militant anti-state aims with a conservative, patriarchal social order. Framed as moral renewal, the messaging casts women as guardians of culture and family, whose domestic conduct signals political loyalty. Limiting girls' schooling, enforcing seclusion, and prescribing behavior become tools to reduce exposure to alternate viewpoints and civic scrutiny. When women internalize these norms, they act as multipliers, shaping children's identities, policing neighbors, and legitimizing the group's presence. The narrative also exploits local grievances, economic marginalization, distrust of state actors, and experiences of violence are reframed as proof that a separate social order is necessary. Online content is carefully crafted. Empathetic personal stories, religious language, and images of dignified domestic life replace battlefield scenes to lower psychological barriers and normalize participation. By turning militancy into a social project rather than solely an armed struggle, the movement sidesteps counter-extremism models focused on male combatants. This gendered shift is embedded in a broader ecosystem. Religious scholars, madrasas, charity networks, and women-led initiatives can be co-opted or pressured to echo the group's line. Diaspora networks and encrypted platforms amplify targeted content beyond borders. Local power brokers, marriage intermediaries, mosque committees, welfare providers create practical entry points for recruitment. At the same time, state actions that overreach or neglect can unintentionally drive women into closed networks, while weak regulation allows extremist charities to operate under humanitarian cover. Conventional counter-extremism programs, often designed around disengaging male fighters through vocational training or correctional classes, struggle to address household authority, caregiving responsibilities, and religious commitments that shape women's choices. On and effective responses must be gender-sensitive and community-led. That means protecting girls' access to education, supporting women's civic leadership, creating safe spaces for discussion, and dispute resolution, and engaging credible faith leaders who reject militant readings. Monitoring online recruitment should prioritize support over criminalization for those coerced or victimized. Economic and psychosocial assistance tailored to caregiving realities helps reduce vulnerability to offers that mix welfare and ideology. Importantly, programs must recognize the different motivations among women to persuade those driven by coercion or need, while holding accountable those who commit violence. These patterns expand. Risks include deeper entrenchment of rigid gender norms, intergenerational transmission of extremist beliefs, and fortified social resilience for militant networks that rely on domestic cover. But acknowledging the gender dynamics also reveals practical levers: invest in local women's networks, protect schools, expand legal recourse for girls, and adapt rehabilitation to household realities. Ending the spread of violent ideology requires attention to everyday life as much as to battlefields. None. If this episode helped you understand a less visible front of extremism, share your thoughts below and consider subscribing for more episodes of Extreme View from Peaceworks. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to hear of new content. We'd love to hear your comments. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to hear of new content. We'd love to hear your comments.